The Bermuda Triangle. Just the mention of it sparks up conversation of hundreds of unexplained disappearances and fatal accidents. For those who are unfamiliar with the Bermuda Triangle, it's a section of the Atlantic Ocean roughly bounded by Miami, Bermuda, and Puerto Rico. For years, there have been dozens of aeroplanes and ships that have disappeared without a trace, never to be found again. There has been talk that the triangle is haunted by some unknown force, and even Christopher Columbus back in 1942 reported strange lights and odd compass activity in that region. All of this has made the Bermuda Triangle one of the most notorious places on Earth, and here we have 5 stories that are sure to add even more mystery to the unexplained and tragic events that have happened there. The disappearance of the Witchcraft. On December the 22nd, 1967, a cabin cruiser named Witchcraft left from Miami with her owner Dan Burke and his father. At around 9 p.m. that evening, not long after leaving Miami, the Coast Guard received a call from Burke. His voice was steady and calm. He said his boat had hit something, however there didn't seem to be any substantial damage, but he requested a Coast Guard to help tow him back to shore. A Coast Guard was sent, and in under 20 minutes it had reached the location of Burke and his cruiser's last known position. There were no signs of the Witchcraft, not even signs that a boat had been there recently. Dan Burke, his father, and their cabin cruiser were never seen again. Although there are a number of possible scenarios for the disappearance, such as running out of fuel or sinking due to the crash, all of these have been dismissed as Burke was known to be a very cautious yachtsman and had fixed a special flotation device in the boat to make it unsinkable. People still ask the question, how come the large amount of flotation devices on board, such as life jackets, a lifeboat, flares, and distress signal devices have never been found floating in the ocean? Despite a search covering around 24,500 square miles, no trace has ever been found of the yacht or its passengers. The official statement from the Coast Guard says, presumed missing but not lost at sea. It's as if something picked up Burke's boat and took it away, leaving nothing behind. Flight 19. The disappearance of Flight 19 still remains one of the most mysterious aircraft disappearances ever recorded. Flight 19 was the code name for 5 US Navy Avenger bombers that took off from a Florida naval base on the 5th of December 1945. Each of the planes were 3-seater torpedo bombers that were not only very robust, but were also considered to be the safest and best US Navy plane for destroying enemy submarines at the time. Charles Taylor was the leader of the exercise, and the other 13 pilots were trainees. The flights were scheduled to go east into the sea for 56 miles to practice bombings. Then they were to head further east for another 67 miles heading towards the Bahamas, before turning north for 73 miles, which would then enable them to turn and head in a straight line back to the naval base in Florida. Ironically, this planned route was triangular. At around 3:30 p.m, Taylor reported that his compass was malfunctioning and he had actually flown south over Florida, not east as he had intended. Taylor was instructed by the control tower to fly north to get back on track. At around 3:45, Taylor's voice was heard again. This time he sounded worried and confused and stated that he could not see land and seemed to be off course. He was instructed to hand over the control to one of his trainees, an instruction he apparently ignored. At 5:50 p.m, the ComGolf Center had managed to trace Flight 19 on its radar. The planes were hopelessly off course, and by this time communication had broken down. It was getting dark, the weather had worsened, and the Avengers would have by now been low on fuel. At 7:27, 2 Martin Mariner planes were sent out to search for the missing Avengers. Only one of the Martin Mariners returned, the other mysteriously disappeared. A nearby tanker reported flames from an apparent explosion, which was later believed to be that of the Mariner rescue plane, but why it would have exploded is another mystery. Over the next 5 days, 2,500 square miles of the Atlantic was searched, but no trace was ever found of Flight 19 or the rescue plane that was sent. So what exactly happened to Flight 19 and the Martin Mariner? Was it Commander Taylor's error? Although he was very experienced, it's been said he had a history of getting lost and disorientated, but this is something his family strongly denied. And even if he did get lost, what happened to the other 4 planes? Despite extensive searches, no wreckage has ever been found, and the official Navy report have labelled the cause of this accident as reasons unknown. The USS Cyclops. The USS Cyclops was a massive carrier ship that supplied fuel to the American fleet in World War I. On January the 8th, 1918, the ship set sail under the command of Lieutenant Commander Worley, heading towards Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. After arriving at Rio on January the 28th, it docked for 2 weeks. It then departed again, heading for Baltimore. On the day of the departure, some 73 local sailors were asked to board the ship, along with the American Representative General of Rio. Instead of heading straight for Baltimore, Worley decided to stop off in Barbados to load up more cargo. On March the 4th, it set sail again, this time heading to Baltimore. It was never seen or heard of again. Despite extensive searches, no trace of the ship or its 309 passengers and crew were ever found. Over the years, there have been many theories about the ship's disappearance. Captain Worley was hated by his crew members as they believed him to be pro-German, and in a strange twist, after his death, it was revealed he was in fact born in Germany, but had later changed his name. Also, the Representative General of Rio was very popular among Germans living in Brazil. So was it sabotage? Did Worley and the General work together to sink the ship, or did they take it to Germany? There were also reports that the ship was overloaded and that crew members had previously voiced concerns over the weakening structure of the SS Cyclops. Many believe the ship was way off course, and this could have caused it to sail into a German minefield or risk being torpedoed by a German sub. Whatever the reason for this mysterious disappearance, it remains the biggest single loss of life in the Bermuda Triangle's history, and easily one of its most intriguing. The disappearance of Frank and Romina Leon. Recently married couple Frank and Romina Leon left Boynton Beach Inlet, Florida in their 16-foot boat for a day excursion. It was Romina's first fishing trip on the boat with her new husband, and she was very much looking forward to it. They launched their boat on a Wednesday afternoon, leaving their car and boat trailer parked on the boat ramp. But when the young couple failed to show up for work the following day, co-workers raised the alarm and friends and family feared the worst. The Coast Guard launched a rescue mission early Friday morning, which covered over 35,700 square miles of the ocean. It seemed that the Leons were very unprepared for sailing. Frank had recently bought the boat at auction and it was deemed mechanically unsound. Although some repairs had been done, it was unclear if it was seaworthy. They also set off without the boat having a radio, and the couple's mobile phones were left at their home and had been disconnected, meaning they had no means of communication. So, was this a tragic accident with the couple taking to the sea with a potentially dangerous boat, little experience and with no means of communication, or was this the work of the Bermuda Triangle claiming yet another victim? What do you think? Bruce Gernon's time warp. The story of Bruce Gernon is both amazing and controversial. Bruce Gernon Jr. was a keen pilot, and by his early 20s he already had over 600 miles flying time and considered himself to be very familiar with Florida and the Bahamas airspace. In December 1970, Bruce, his father and a business associate took off from Andros Town Airport. As they flew over the Bermuda Triangle zone, Bruce could see a unique looking cloud in the distance. He didn't think much of it until all of a sudden it engulfed the plane. After about 10 minutes, the plane finally broke free and Bruce continued into clear skies. Shortly after, a similar cloud appeared. As they flew closer, it appeared to emanate directly from the Earth's surface. The plane entered the cloud, and what happened next has lived with Bruce to this day. He said everything became dark and black and that there were bright white flashing lights. The deeper they flew into the cloud, the more intense the light became, and all attempts to fly out of this mysterious cloud proved futile. After 13 minutes encased in the cloud, Bruce noticed a large U-shaped opening. As he tried to fly through it, a perfectly formed tunnel appeared. As he flew the plane through the tunnel, it appeared to be shrinking, enclosing the plane in what looked like white glowing walls of cloud, swirling violently around the plane. Bruce and the crew were only in the tunnel for around 20 seconds, and after exiting, he and the other passengers had a strange weightless feeling. They could see the cloud tunnel collapsing, making it look like a rotating ring donut shape. All the electronic and magnetic equipment in the plane had malfunctioned, and their compass was spinning uncontrollably. After making radio contact, radar control confirmed that they were unable to pick up their plane anywhere in the area. Bruce said the blue sky was now a dull greyish-white fog. Eventually, the fog started to break up in a weird electronic fashion, forming slits that joined together. When all the slits had joined, the sky became clear and the radar then picked up the plane's location. What adds to the mystery is that the plane was now only 13 minutes from reaching its destination. A flight that normally takes 75 minutes had been completed in less than 47 minutes. Bruce believes the plane must have passed through some kind of time warp, as they had been pushed 30 minutes forward and 100 miles further. Dozens of planes and boats are believed to have witnessed what Bruce saw. So, could it be that this so-called electronic fog is responsible for the mysteries of the Bermuda Triangle? That one's up to you to decide. So, that's 5 stories of the Bermuda Triangle. I hope you've enjoyed, and thank you so much for watching and supporting my channel. See you next week for another video.